Would you forgive a partner that served you breakfast and dumped you, and as if that wasn't enough, infected you with the HIV virus? What would you do? Let us watch the story of Nurse Obianuju and her fate. In a bustling city in modern Africa, Nurse Obianuju was known for her compassionate care and dedication to her patients. She was loved by all, both in the hospital and in her neighborhood. Patients compliment her a lot, and everyone would want her to be the nurse in their care because of how loving, caring, and detailed she was. She had a fiancé whose name was Femi. Femi was a womanizer, a woman beater. Nurse Obianuju had caught him cheating on her with several women, and he would apologize to her, or even in some other instances, he would deny it or hit her. She loved Femi very much, so even with what he has been doing to her, she still forgives him. Femi's friends would come to her house and finish her food. They would be shouting, "Our wife, our wife." But they all knew about Femi's escapades. Nurse Obianuju's best friend, Nurse Mimi, would always tell her, "Leave that useless boy alone. He obviously does not love you, or even have a single respect for you. He cheats on you, hits you, and as if that is not enough, steals from you. And I know he takes them to those useless girls." But Obianuju would answer with a black eye, one she got from a smackdown from Femi. "I love him. He is my everything. And I know he loves me too. You know the saying, men will always be men. It's those girls that will not allow him to rest. Don't worry, he will soon change. I am praying for him. And also, you know I've been with Femi for 7 years now. I just can't leave him. And you know what? His friends call me our wife, our wife. So very soon I will be his wife." Mimi looked at her with pity. Ah, you are a finished girl. You think them shouting our wife is guaranteed that he will marry you? They play. Just they play. Do you know how many girls that have been called our wife? Until this day, that our wife is now my guy's former girlfriend. My dear, run oh. Look at your eye like Willy Willy. Until he kills you, your eyes will be open. But I pray it doesn't become too late." And they went about their work. Then one day, the money Obianuju kept, that she would use to open a drugstore for her business in the future, Femi stole the money and ran to engage another woman. He then called Obianuju on the phone to tell her that it is over, ended the call and blocked her. At first, Obianuju thought she was dreaming, but when she didn't see the money she kept again, and after days of calling and trying to reach Femi, but to no avail, that was when it dawned on her that she has been served breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even with desserts. Femi had dumped her and gone to be with another person. Obianuju was devastated. She became the shadow of herself. It even affected her work. She was committing lots of errors in the hospital. Her boss, who is a kind man, who understood her predicament, told her to rest for 2 weeks, then resume after that. Oh, Obianuju was bitter. She cried till she couldn't find tears again. Her friend Mimi would come to console her, but she was inconsolable. She stopped crying and tried to forget everything. But then one day she went to see a female doctor friend of hers, who on seeing her complained of how emaciated she looked and decided to run some checkups on her to make sure she was okay. And when the results for the test came out, Obianuju discovered that she was HIV positive. Femi has really finally finished her. She was speechless. The will to cry or talk wasn't there. The will to even live was absent. "This boy has really killed me," she said to herself. She resumed another series of crying. The remaining heart was now completely scattered. She kept thinking, why would this happen to her? Who did she offend? Was it a bad thing to agree for a man? Is it now a crime to love somebody? These were the questions she was asking herself. At a point, she even tried taking her own life. And so, after days of wallowing in betrayal, self-pity and regret, listening to lonely and bitter songs, she became filled with anger and revenge. She seemed to have lost hope in humanity. She began to hate all men and was utterly disgusted by that gender. She was in a dark place, and so a wicked, evil plan was born. Obianuju couldn't stand the thought of suffering alone. In her mind, if she had to endure this pain, then others should too. She thought of looking for Femi and pouring acid on him, but she didn't know his whereabouts. So she decided that all men are scum and they all must suffer. She planned to infect as many unfaithful men she could get. She definitely was not going down alone. It started small, late night shifts when she would inject the virus into unsuspecting men, some patients, others doctors or hospital staff. Her first victim was Thomas, a charming medical intern who flirted with everyone. He had a girl he has engaged that she Obiageli saw on social media. But Thomas always makes passes at nurses and some female patients. Obiageli even caught him one day sleeping with a lady that brought in her sick husband. Bobby, things are happening. So Obianuju booked Thomas for a dose. She waited until he was alone in the supply room. With a smile, she offered him a drink laced with the HIV virus, claiming it was a very strong abu for manpower. He accepted, and within weeks, he was struggling with his health. Obianuju watched him grow sick and weaker, and a sense of satisfaction coursed through her veins. Next target was Mr. Chike, a wealthy businessman who frequents the hospital for checkups. He was arrogant, often dismissing the nurses as if they were invisible. Whenever he is coming to the hospital, he comes with a different girl to accompany him, all half-dressed, with expensive hairs and accessories. The day Obianuju saw Mr. Chike's original wife, she couldn't believe her eyes, because the woman was looking tattered, poor, and unkempt. So he couldn't take care of his wife, but he would spend his money on different girls. So Obianuju booked Mr. Chike for a dose. Obianuju took her time, plotting how to get to him. One night, she found an opportunity during a late consultation. She pretended to drop a vial, then quickly replaced it with one containing the virus. He never suspected a thing, and Obianuju reveled in the chaos that ensued as he grappled with his new reality, frequenting the hospital now with his wife, who has been the only one showing up. All the small baby years have disappeared. Obianuju continued in her crusade as she infected several men, each one a reflection of her pain and anger. She lost track of how many lives she was destroying, but it didn't matter. The power she felt was intoxicating. Then everything changed when she met Daniel, a kind-hearted social worker who volunteered at the hospital. He treated everyone with respect and empathy, and Obianuju found herself drawn to him. For the first time in months, she felt a flicker of hope. Daniel saw beyond her hardened exterior. He reached out, encouraging her to talk about her struggles. Obianuju at first wasn't buying his genuine care, but when after series of testing, she saw that he wasn't even after her body or that of any woman, but that he was really a nice gentleman that respects women. She began to open up gradually and began to see the possibility of redemption and healing. Daniel, who had noticed that she hardly laughed or smiled, would encourage her to lighten up. He would share some motivating messages to her and from time to time send her gifts. Daniel would share his experiences with her, how he has been betrayed by friends, how his fiancé ran abroad with his best friend, how he was scammed of his visa money, but still he believes in the goodness of people. He still believes that they are good people, and one can only help themselves by seeing and focusing on the good things in life. Obianuju equally shared a little bit of her story, but left many things out, obviously. As she continued spending time with Daniel, she began to regret her actions. She hated the things she had done, that although those men deserved what they got, but it wasn't in her place to condemn them. She slowly began to heal and forgive. She started working on her inner peace, and Daniel was with her in every way. One day, he invited her for a dinner date. At first, she refused, but with his continuous plea, singing to her ears that she deserved to be loved, she finally gave in. And during the dinner, she opened up to him that she was HIV positive and that she wouldn't want to mess up his life. Daniel was at first shocked, but in a weird way that I myself couldn't even understand. He began to like her. A finished man indeed. Oh, sorry. Where was I? Yes. So Daniel told her that even with that, he would still love to spend his life with her. He assured her that with the medication she is taking, one can fight it, and that God, who planted her in his life, works in mysterious ways. Please, viewers, if you have watched to this moment, please kindly like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I bring you many more interesting stories. Thank you, and please don't forget to subscribe. Let us go back to our story. Obianuju has never felt this love in her 30 years of living in this life. She felt seen and valued, and that night was the best she have had in a long time. After the dinner, on their way home, Daniel offered to walk her home, but she refused and said she will be fine, that he has done enough for the day. So as she was walking home, feeling so loved and good, everything fell apart. Obianuju was approached by a group of armed robbers. 3 young women who demanded her belongings. Fear gripped her heart, and she instinctively turned to run, but they were younger and faster. One of the women fired a shot in desperation. Obianuju crumpled to the ground, a pool of blood forming beneath her. She has been shot. As she lay there, gasping for breath, her life flashed before her. She thought of Femi. She thought of all the men she had infected with the virus. She thought of her friend Mimi, and then she thought of Daniel. And in that pain, she was smiling. She knew she was dying, but she also knew that at last she was genuinely loved. And even though it was just for a few hours, it was worth her entire existence. Her only regret was that she wasn't able to love Daniel and shower him with care and affection. And in her final moments, she thanked God for bringing Daniel into her life and making her experience the beauty in humans. She gave up the ghosts. The city moved on, indifferent to the loss of one more life. But Obianuju's journey left a mark. Her life left so many lessons that we should be forgiven. We should love ourselves first before anyone else. Then we can be able to reciprocate and love others. And also shouldn't take it upon ourselves to be the judge of others. The world is filled with evil, but in the midst of them all, they are good people. And even though we should be aware of happenings around us, let us focus on the good things of life and see the beauty in humans. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.